Hello, this is Paul with Reloading123, and we are going to wrap up our series on tools. And I just want to show you a couple of tools that you may choose to include in your reloading setup, and that is the tools relating to cleaning. You know, when you have a cartridge case that comes out of a fired gun or one that's been sitting around, a little bit like this 4570, and if you want to take a little bit more pride in what you're doing, you can clean them up, make them look nice. Oftentimes they don't shoot any different one way or the other. They just look nice or look more like new. But all you really need to clean cases is you can use a little bit of 4/0 steel wool, and you can actually kind of burnish if you will, kind of clean up the outside. I'm going to try to show you real closely how. You can see I'm kind of turning it 5, 6, 10 times. And this is a pretty grungy old case, right? So there you go. Can you see that? I mean, that's a pretty significant difference. It looks quite a bit newer on the top than the bottom. So it can be as simple as that with pistol cases or rifle cases. This is a 270. This one was shot out of one of my guns, and you know, you're not going to be able to make much of a dent with something like this. That you will make a difference if you're interested in really shining it up. Just kind of show you what that may look like. Can you see the difference there? The top, of course, I just finished, and the bottom is done. So it can be as simple as that with steel wool, and it does a great job cleaning cases. So if you want to go to the next level, which I would highly suggest, okay, the other option is to use a vibratory tumbler such as this. This is probably the most cost-effective bulk cleaning option. What you would use is a corn cob or walnut shell media on the inside, which you can purchase. And then essentially you would, which is really what this is here, this is actually walnut shell, and put it inside, fill it up to you know, a reasonable level. I think you'll know what that is when you start doing it. You will add a kind of a squirt or a cap full of some sort of polish. This is a very inexpensive polish from Cabela's. It's great. It does a great job. If you want them to look like old style, you know, chrome car bumpers, amazing shine, use this Flitz. It is great polish. And what you'll do is you'll put a squirt inside the container, and then you will mix the polish and the media for, say, 5 minutes before you put your brass in there, or else the polish could stick right to the side of the brass, and then it'll actually blend it with the media. I prefer the corn cob media over walnut shell. I find that walnut shell media makes a lot of dust, and I prefer the corn cob media. Both, I think, polish very similarly well. But here's a little tip I wanted to show you that I've learned over time. What's going to happen is that you're going to fill this with media, you're going to put your polish in, then eventually you're going to put your brass in, and this thing is going to vibrate pretty good. And it's going to do a heck of a job mixing the contents inside, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. Then what you'll see is that as soon as you mount the lid on, for whatever reason, this lid, once it's clamped to the top here, and it's really only, I don't know why, I can't explain it, but when it squeezes this blue piece on the top, they come in you know, different colors, of course, it dampens, or it reduces the amount of agitation that the brass has. So one thing that I do that is kind of cool is that I use kind of a secondary little nut here in the top, and I will actually put another washer on, and I'm going to adjust this, and I'm going to try to show you what that looks like, but I'm adjusting this just so it's off the top by maybe 1/4 of an inch. And then I'll put my washer and my lock nut on. And when I do that, for some reason, when that top is not clamped all the way on there, it actually keeps the original agitation. Now, the one thing that this little trick does do is it creates a fair amount of dust on the side, as well as, you know, a little bit on the floor, but for the most part it's contained still within the drum, if you will. So that's one tip that I kind of developed over the course of time, because I really like the way this thing agitates. So let me show you what that actually looks like. Okay, so I've added the media, I've added my polish to the media, and now I've added some brass to the tumbler that needs to be cleaned. You're going to see what that looks like here right now. So this is kind of the agitation motion that I'm talking about. You'll see a piece of brass go by every so often. That's about the right level to where the media is just hitting the top. That seems to be where it actually does the most agitation right there. So then, of course, you put your lid on that, and my lid is quite a bit dirty, but and this might make a heck of a noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off for just a moment. I'm going to put this on. My hands are going to be right here in the camera for a moment. And then with this on, you're going to see, hopefully, if you can see, how that agitation is a little bit less violent. It just kind of, it's good, but it settles down quite a bit. And the more brass that you have in here, the more obvious it is. So then, of course, then what I do is I space this up a little bit and bring that agitation back up to its maximum, which is what you'll see here without the lid on. Okay, that's the tumbling, and that's your brass cleaning. This tumbling process and brass cleaning can be used for both pistol and rifle ammunition. I'm going to kind of move on to some of the other tools and try to wrap this up for you guys. Okay, this is the home stretch in terms of tools, and I just wanted to just show you a couple of remaining things. Of course, you're going to need an assortment of Allen wrenches and things like that. When the process is complete, you can use the original box that bullets came in, or you can purchase for really $3 to $5 these plastic boxes, and they actually come in the size specific to your load. So if you look on the back, this is going to be almost impossible to read, but you'll see some writing on the back there, and it actually lists all the calibers that this will hold when it's loaded. Some are better than others, depending on the bullet. They also come in pistol sizes, as you can see, .299, and then it fits, sometimes they come with some decals, but essentially you would put this is going to be a 9mm case, and of course this also does the same thing. This is for 32 Special, 30 Luger, 9mm Luger, 380 ACP, and 9mm Mararov. So that's the cases. I would also suggest highly that you take notes, and whether you use a label such as this on the actual case, or a simple little label such as this on the case, which you saw me use here, I would highly suggest you put the data here and in a notebook journal. My notebook journal looks something like this, and you're going to see a lifetime of information. This goes back to 2010 of data that that I've shot over the period of time. Some good, some bad. But the point is that you want to document your reloading so you know when you're getting somewhere. So you know that, for example, when you are shooting your my 300 Win short mag, when things are not going real well. Obviously that's just a couple of rounds, to the point where things are going well for you. And you can see that really all of a sudden it kind of tightens up right at one spot. And we'll talk a little bit more about these types of loads later, but what you're going to see is you need to keep accurate data, the date, the time, the wind if you can, the shot you fired, where it hit in relative to the your point of aim. You will quickly be able to see when things are good and things are no good, or when things need to be reshot. You know, you've got a clover leaf of 3 and you got these 2 flyers. If you look at some of the major gun magazines, they say the best of 3 in a 5-shot group. So the best of 3 in a 5-shot group, even though this is, I don't know, I'm going to approximate this as an 1.5 inch group at 100 yards, they're showing you this this 0.4 inch group at 100 yards and saying that's amazing. To me, this is not amazing. I'm trying to do better than this. And these are all hunting rifles. But you will quickly, with the information that you've got documented, you quickly will see when a load starts to really do what you want it to do. So it's stringing, it's stringing, it's stringing, and then all of a sudden it's coming together. We're all 5 shots. We'll talk about all this stuff at a later date. And here's another good example. It doesn't like what I'm doing here. The gun, you know, it starts getting closer and closer, and then all of a sudden my hunting, this is my 204 on an AR platform, is shooting under 0.3 inch groups at 100 yards. And what you'll learn is full-length sized bulk made ammunition through, you know, semi-automatic rifle. So keep accurate hand loads, use the boxes, use the labels, do whatever it takes to keep yourself organized so you know when you made those loads, under what conditions. You know, when you're in the loading process, your brass can sit inside these kinds of loading blocks. They fit in different areas in these blocks. Sometimes you have to try to find, it's a little bit of a, you know, it's a little bit of a Lego piece. So clearly this Hornady block doesn't fit my 4570 government load anywhere very well. Let's take a look at this block from MTM. It's an older block. Neither does this one. So the point here is that you may consider doing some research and figuring out what you're reloading and making sure it actually fits in the block you're going to buy. I don't have a 4570. I just happened to grab this out the range for a buddy of mine. But it's interesting that it doesn't fit anywhere in the block. And the goal is to actually put these in here upright, and then of course to load the powder using the funnel that I showed you earlier, and it sits right on top like that. Now, pretty challenging to do that if you have to put your brass in upside down, right? This is the only way this 4570 fits in. So anyway, get the loading block, and then last but not least, caliper. This is going to be, I mean, if the press is the heart, I mean, this is going to be the kidney of your system. You're going to have to measure the length of your bullets. You're going to measure a number of different things, and you need a very exacting caliper. Now they make this in a dial caliper like you see here. This is the dial where it actually obviously moves as it lengthens. They also make this in a digital version. I would highly encourage you to get the dial version and learn it. Once you've got this mastered and you understand how the caliper works, then you can switch to the digital. And it just, to me, it's just, you know, because this is going to work when the other one's not. So that really covers the majority of the tools. There are a bunch of other little tools that are coming with your set, and everything from primer pocket cleaning tools to chamfer tools. All of these tools are necessary in order for you to reload your ammunition. And you're going to see this when I go through the steps. Okay, so I'm not going to unpack a lot of this stuff for you now. I think you've had enough with the tools. We're going to dive right into reloading with the next section. So again, do yourself a huge favor. Create accurate loads. Use your labels. Buy some inexpensive things like these blocks at $5 a piece, make your life easy. I think I just bought 2 of these, or I got 1 of these free when I bought some lubricant for the for my rifle load. So there's just do yourself a favor. So you're going to see some other tools along the way, but if you have any questions, go ahead and send me a note below. Otherwise, this is Paul, and you are watching Reloading 123. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.